Today is all about good games, because who doesn't love a good game? Monopoly, Uno, Movie Star Planet. But you know what all these games have in common? They're basic as fuck. Y'all didn't come here to hear about anything basic. No, what y'all came here for was something spooky, scary, cynical. Games. And before we get into any of this demented goodness, I just want to say my intentions of making this video is not to promote any of these things. It's actually quite the opposite. We're going to be laughing at and belittling anybody that dares to think about playing any of these games, as a great human being does. So to make sure we stay on track with our negativity, I made sure to come up with categories to keep every game up to a standard. The first thing being, is it fun? The entire purpose of a game is to entertain, so it would kind of make no sense not to have this as one of the categories. Thus being, what do you win? Of course, I ain't talking about no car or a house or anything like that. Nigga, this is not Mr. Beast. What I really mean is something like arm wrestling. When somebody wins during an arm wrestling match, that usually determines who's the strongest out of the two people that were playing. So if you win any of these weird games we're gonna talk about, what do you necessarily gain? Bronze, overall weirdness. Another pretty self-explanatory category. Is the game we're looking at harmless, or is it a Avenger level threat? You feel me? So with all this being clarified, let's get into our first game of the day. Soggy Biscuit. Anyone that has been forsaken enough to have an inkling of an idea of what I'm talking about right now, then probably already clicked off the video. If I'm being honest, I don't blame them niggas, cause it's one of the most downright disgusting, fully capitalized things I ever heard a group of men participate in. And for all the innocent minds that don't exactly know what I'm talking about right now, I'm gonna try to explain the game in the most PG-13 way possible. So at least you keep roughly 73.68% of your sanity, okay? Okay, so basically from my knowledge, the game is pretty much strictly for males, which should already paint a bizarre picture of what this could be leading to. The duty of the contestants is to combust onto a biscuit, and whoever does this first is declared the winner. And whoever is last at doing this is considered the loser, and therefore now has to eat the fertilized biscuit. You can't make this shit up. At least on the bright side though, we all now know the code and conduct of the game, allowing us to ask the question, is it fun? Hell no! No, it's not fun. Like, who would think this game is fun? Besides some freaked out individuals, that's who. When you really think about it, your friend group gotta be extremely out of pocket to even try to consider playing this game. Y'all could've played Marvel Rivals, Minecraft, even Peppa the Pig, the video game, before you dare touch this game. Like, for real. Do we really even have to talk about what's your prize after winning? Nothing. It never was gonna be nothing. Besides the fact you're a Minuteman and you're suspiciously capable of combusting in front of a group of your friends. Yeah, keep your eyes out for that nigga, nah. Sadly, with everything we know about this game, we must come to agreement of its overall weirdness. Is the game a little weird or big weird? I like to think it's super big weird. Like, what? My beginner freak brain can't even comprehend any joy that can come from something like this. I can't even lie to y'all. I'd rather lick a BP gas station on the south side of Chicago's urinal before I even get into a quarter mile of this game. On some real shit. On to our next game, which is debatably worse than the last.
Ouija boards.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure the majority of y'all have a great idea of what a Ouija board is and how to play it, just for the simple fact it's probably top 10 most spam games throughout all of pop culture. But just in the strange case that you don't know what the game is, I'ma do a quick explanation. First and foremost, this game requires an edgy teenager that loves red flannels and Deftones to go to their local Target and purchase the board. Now you want to have 2 to 3 people to place their hands on the planchetta. I don't know if I pronounced the junk right, but it's some demonic shit, so I can care less. The next step is very vital to the game going correctly. Everyone must look around the room with a corny ass stare, giving the expression of,
Guys, are we really doing this right now?
the game has commenced. Players will first introduce themselves to potential spirits by stating their name. After doing so, asking said spirits if they are present in the room. Once confirming the demon that possessed Annabelle is currently in your parents' attic, the players will ask the creature a series of questions. Shit like, will I ever get laid? What's better, cinnamon Pop-Tarts or strawberry Pop-Tarts? Important questions. With us now capable of summoning entities into our home, we can ask the great question of, is it fun? Y'all know what? I really am trying to think deep about my answer on this question. On one hand, I can act on my melanin instincts and yell to the top of my lungs, hell no, y'all tripping for playing this white people shit. Or I can tap into my Caucasian thoughts of, you know,
Jeez, this game doesn't sound half bad.
but ultimately what I came up with is my answer is Drake, cause it's a mixture of both.
Shut your stupid.
Nah, dead ass though, I actually understand how this potentially could be fun in a quirky white girl type of way. Meeting up with the homies, asking questions, getting possessed, yay! So with all things considered, my verdict is, it's kind of fun in a I hope we don't die or get possessed by Hitler type of way. Moving on to what do you win? I think there's a pretty obvious answer to this question. A baddie ghost that's down to 4. Y'all know I'm just playing, maybe, hopefully, kinda. The only true prize is the 50-50 chance you're getting possessed or learning a spirit been living in your crib, not putting a dime on the Wi-Fi bill, which is also just as bad as being possessed. And for overall weirdness, playing a Ouija board does take a certain type of interesting individuals, but compared to the other games we're gonna talk about, I still think that it's fairly tame. Like for most people that played, I'd imagine that peer pressure or curiosity got the best of them. Which is still like, nigga, come on. But I just can't bring myself to declare those reasonings as completely invalid. All right, time for our next activity, sword fighting. No, not that one. Another one. Yeah. Before making this video, I actually thought that this game was just a running joke for people online and that it wasn't an actual game with rules or anything, right? Let's just go ahead and get into the explanation. Sword fighting is only limited to males, I believe. The game is also usually played while they're bricked up. Yes, I know, disturbing. And the entire objective is to hit the opposing player's sack or toy around until someone forfeits. Bro, just why? Let's just move into is it fun? As everybody could imagine, my answer is no. It does not seem like fun to me. There's nothing necessarily amusing to me about the idea of clicking up with the homies to run free-for-all sword fighting. Nah, yeah, it doesn't sound too good of a time. And let's just say in an alternate universe, I was into something like this. You would have lost me soon as you mentioned my sack getting hit. Sorry, not sorry. I find no pleasure in the idea of my sack getting hit in any type of way, especially by my choice, like no. So yeah, this game is far from my personal idea of what I consider fun. Now let's get into what you win. Y'all know what? You gain a title that not many want, but a few do yearn for. The title of being
Freaky bitch.
I believe plenty of parents are elated at the idea that their sons could possibly achieve such a rare and prestigious title. Yeah, that's the reality of it. Now, looking at the game's overall weirdness, I'd say it's very weird, but not as crazy as Soggy Biscuit, and a little bit more alarming of an idea of playing a Ouija board. So we find this game somewhere in the middle of being extremely weird and acceptable against the right group of people. For the last game of the day, we have something that I believe we all heard of at least once, but I pray none of us even think about playing this game. Russian roulette. To me, this game is the complete embodiment of shock value. The concept of it is so bizarre, it's world famous. So much so, I really don't even feel like I need to explain how to play the game, but fuck it. Russian Roulette for one is a extremely dangerous and idiotic game that should never be played recreationally because you can become severely hurt, traumatized, or even better, die. So with that being known, let's actually get into the rules of the game. There must be at least 2 players. A revolver is required for the game and must be loaded with 1 bullet. But if for some weird reason you're feeling a little bit more frisky, feel free to add more. You ask me, 1 is plenty. Once the gun is loaded with the desired amount of bullets, the player who turn it is spins the cylinder, thus the name roulette. After the cylinder has come to a complete stop, the player must now put the weapon to their cranium and pray they just didn't send themselves to hell, which then a winner is determined by whoever doesn't quit first or until someone is no longer with us. Natural selection at best, folks. Natural selection at its best. Now time to use my 3 brain cells to determine if this game is fun. Let's be completely honest. If you say anything but this game is extremely unfun and should never be played by any human being ever under no condition, I think you got some underlying issues that need to be addressed to a trusted professional. Please seek help for everybody's sake. We love you, my friend. As for what do you win? Trip to go see the Grim Reaper, my nigga. Like what? Or you want to know what the other option is? A traumatizing experience that you must live with for the rest of your life. And guess what? Pretty much nobody can relate to you. Yeah, that sounds like a great time. Lastly, we're at overall weirdness. To be completely honest with all y'all, I truly believe Russian Roulette easily clears any of the other games we talked about today. Easily. Don't get me wrong, we did talk about some crazy shit today. But the idea of leaving your death up to chance in a casino roulette type of way is just on a whole nother level to me.
Subscribe, like, and share with a trusted adult. And no, my cousin Eli does not threaten my life to make this video. Bye.